Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have the pleasure of checking out another of these remote times figures. I recently had taken a look at their amazing Dinosaur Revolution Allosaurus. This time we have a fully original dinosaur released by them, not an original, creation. It's obviously just an original sculpt. It's not based on any kind of pop culture version or anything. We have a Centrosaurus, and straight off the bat, I absolutely love that because there just is not near enough Centrosaurus models out there. It is one species of ceratopsian that often gets overlooked and neglected when it comes to figures. And this version from Remote Times Figures looks absolutely incredible. I think the sculpt looks really nice. We've got a beautiful pose here with the Centrosaurus kind of running along, and everything again just looks as absolutely gorgeous as it gets when it comes to this particular species of ceratopsian. You can see it just looks really nice all around. On top of the Centrosaurus itself, we also have this really cool card that's included in here, which you can see gives us a nice image of the model itself, but kind of like some artwork of it there and a nice color scheme on it. Actually, really nice looking color scheme. Definitely a fan of the colors that he's given it there. And of course the Remote Times Figures logo down there. Nothing going on really on the back. And then we've also got a Remote Times Figures sticker in here, which is the perfect addition when displaying something from them to have, behind it, next to it, somewhere related to the positioning of your figure on your shelf. Definitely really cool to have their logo. And we've also got this, which you can see a nice shot there on the top of the Centrosaurus, and then the Remote Times logo down there. And then when you turn it over here to the side, you can see that it's basically a little assembly instructions just to kind of give you an idea as far as how you put it together. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this gorgeous Centrosaurus model right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Centrosaurus, you can see it has a really nice appearance, really nice head sculpt in general. You also have some gorgeous skin texture, which I don't think we'll truly be able to get a good idea of how nice the actual fine detail is until we get some paint work on it, but I wanted to kind of show it off before we get to that point, just to kind of give you guys an idea as far as how the figure looks straight out of the box and just basically glued together. But you can see again, really gorgeous looking when it comes to the head sculpt. We've got the nostrils sculpted out right there. You can also see some very nice fine detail within the beak. The mouth is held in a closed position. As you move up here a little bit further, you can see the eye area is very nicely sculpted. You've got kind of like some scoots here running up from the eye area up here toward the frill. Also some very nice scale detail here in the frill of the Centrosaurus, and you can also see that we've got some spikes running along the outer edge of the frill. Very nice fine detail within those, as well as the spikes up here on the top. Looks absolutely gorgeous for sure. As you move back here into the neck, you can see some nice skin creases and wrinkles and stuff there in the neck region as the Centrosaurus has its head turned to its left. You can also see we've got some nice scale detail in that area as well. You can kind of make out the spinal column, as well as some tensing here in the back of the neck leading up into the back of the frill of the Centrosaurus. As you lead back down, you can see the leg sculpt looks really good moving down. You will notice a seam right here because that is one area where you have to kind of glue the leg together, and there really is such a minor amount of assembly when it comes to this model. You really only have to glue the legs on and then a few horns up here on the top of the frill, and that's really about it. There's not a whole lot that you need to actually put together on this. But as you move down, you can see the muscle definition looks really good. You've got the elbow sculpted out here in the back of the leg. You've got some really nicely sculpted toes as well as you move down there into the foot sculpt. Coming back up here into the body, it looks like we actually have some scars right here, or maybe even potentially, some open wounds. It depends on how you want to paint those out. You can also see the scale detail looks extraordinarily crisp. As you move back here through the course of the body, we again see the spinal column right there on the top of the body moving down. You can kind of make out the rib cage a little bit right there. Also a little bit of bulkiness at the same time there in the stomach region. As you move back here, you can definitely see the hip bone up here on the top, as well as the muscle definition again moving down. Really nice scale detail. You can see how nice it pops right there. As you lead down, you've got the knee yet again. You can see a seam, but almost impossible actually to see it. Like, you really don't notice it that well, and may not have even noticed it unless I had pointed it out. But there is definitely a seam right here because this is where I connected the leg. But look at how good of a job they've done of applying it so that you almost don't even need to fill it or anything like that. Shows you just how nice this kit is straight out of the box. You can see the calf muscle back there, big and bulging. Again, the rear foot sculpt also looks really nice. You can see how these legs are held closer together because we do have a bit of a running movement occurring for our Centrosaurus. As you move up, you can see some of the skin wrinkles here leading back from the thigh into the tail, and then you lead out and you've got a really nice curve to the tail here. Nothing super drastic, but just a nice natural curve as the dinosaur is running along. As you move over here, you see again that head sculpt looking really nice, just as beautiful as we had seen on the first side. Again, you've got the really nice fine detail in the horn up there. Gorgeous skin texture moving through. As you lead back here into the neck, you can see again some more skin wrinkles, skin folds and stuff like that, as well as really nice scale detail and some nice tensing in the neck right there. As you move back here, you can see the legs are held a little bit further apart than we had seen on the initial side. The rib cage shining through a little bit right there again, and you can really see how nice that scale detail is. Definitely going to be a nice one to paint. Also some nice skin creases right there in front of the leg. As you move down, again, the muscle definition looks really nice. You've got the elbow over here. You can see how the dinosaur is moving along with the leg there. The positioning looks like the leg's coming down as far as that step goes. You can also see some wrinkling there in the skin of the wrist, as well as the very nicely sculpted toes and nicely sculpted nails. And then you move back here, you again have the rear leg. This leg is entirely up off of the ground as our Centrosaurus is running along. You can see the seam a little bit better here on the rear leg, but once we put some putty on that, that's definitely going to disappear quite nicely. Same detailing here as we had seen on the initial side when it comes to the very nice muscle definition, gorgeous scale detail, and the hip bone shining, and then you lead back again into the tail. And again, very nice, very highly detailed. As you move along the underside, you've got the cloaca present, and again, some nice skin texture here on the underside of our Centrosaurus. So, we are now at the point where we are going to throw some paint on this, and then we'll bring it back and check it out once it's fully finished. So here is my fully finished and painted version of the Centrosaurus, and I did not go with the paint scheme that the original image had, the remote times image that they had actually shown off. I did not go with that paint scheme. I kind of just went with something that I created on my own, and no real inspiration or anything for this. I basically just started painting and then, kind of saw where it took me, and this is where it took me apparently. So pretty happy with it, actually. It's probably not the best paint scheme that we've ever seen for a Ceratopsian, maybe not my best paint scheme on a Ceratopsian, but it looks pretty cool, I think, and I was happy enough with it. But of course, as always, a lot of that has to do with just how good the sculpt looks and the way the paint kind of sits on the sculpt, and I think it looks absolutely phenomenal here. You can see all of the detailing as far as this figure goes, I think a little bit better once you get some paint work on it. You can see how impressive everything is, especially when it comes to how nice the scale detail looks as you move through. But again, the figure is absolutely gorgeous. The fine detail is absolutely gorgeous. The pose is as well. Definitely has a lot of life to it and has a very nice, very cool visual of a beautiful Centrosaurus kind of like charging in, which you can very clearly see. Again, has that running movement shown. I also painted out these wounds right here, so it looks like it's had like a nice slice recently, and maybe that's actually why it's kind of charging in. Maybe it's kind of in the middle of a fight, but definitely, again, looking really quite nice, in my opinion, with some paint work on it. Like I said, I'm pretty happy with it, and hopefully you guys will like my paint work and think that it at least has kind of done the figure justice, and again, hopefully the paintwork looks at least, somewhat lifelike. But definitely an absolutely incredible Centrosaurus from Remote Times Figures. So as far as a size goes, for a length, if we go from the horn to the tail, you were looking at about 7 3/4 inches or about 19.5 centimeters, somewhere in that vicinity. And for a height, the highest point's going to be the frill, about 3 1/4 inches or approaching 8.5 centimeters, but not quite there. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day human being here next to our Remote Times Centrosaurus. And you can definitely see, again, it's got a pretty good size to it, but it's not huge. You know, it's not a small model. I would say it's honestly right there where you would expect it to be, right in the size range, you know, you would expect a Centrosaurus model to be presented in. So it's a very nice, very convenient size because it's not huge, but still sports at least a pretty good size to it. And then we'll have a few other ceratopsian comparisons, one of which is the Schleich-Diabloceratops, a figure that I bring in quite often for review comparisons. We've also got the very popular Pseudoceratops from How Long Good, which you can see is kind of similar in size, but a little bit smaller. We also have a Pterobibatat Pachyrhinosaurus that I had repainted a long time ago, definitely, you know, quite a ways back, but next to our Centrosaurus, you can see they're pretty similar in size. The Pachyrhinosaurus is a little bit closer, a little bit lower to the ground, whereas the Centrosaurus is kind of standing up a little bit taller, but overall they're very, very similar in size in my opinion. We also have a very beat-up version of the Batat Triceratops. This is one of two that I have, and this is obviously the one that's in less good shape, but you can see, again, kind of similar in size, but the Centrosaurus, yet again, is just a little bit larger. Then we've also got a Mojo Fun Triceratops, which you can see is as well kind of similar in size, but I would just say slightly smaller than the Centrosaurus. And then for one final comparison, we have a Metellceratopsian, as we have the baby Pseudoceratops next to our Centrosaurus, again from Remote Times Figures, just to kind of give you one last comparison. So this Remote Times Figures Centrosaurus is absolutely gorgeous, honestly. I really cannot recommend the work of Remote Times Figures enough. After that Allosaurus, I was completely sold because I felt like that was just gorgeous on another level. Again, having a Dinosaur Revolution style Allosaurus. But then we've got this Centrosaurus, and I really like this one as well because, again, it has a gorgeous, very, very highly detailed sculpt, you know, and that's something that Remote Times Figures is definitely good at. After looking at the Allosaurus, now the Centrosaurus, they have really, really good fine detail, and we know they can create a figure that has very good screen accuracy like we saw in the Allosaurus, but this Centrosaurus, as far as I'm aware, isn't based on anything specifically. I could be wrong, but there's nothing that I'm picking up on right away that kind of resembles this, except sort of the Monoclonius from the Phil Tippett, you know, stop motion film from way back in the day, but I don't think that that's anything to do with this. It just kind of has a similar look as far as the thin appearance to the face. I actually had considered giving this the paint scheme of that Monoclonius, but then chose to go with this paint scheme instead. But again, it looks really good. We've also got, on top of incredible fine detail, we have a very nice pose for the dinosaur with the one leg up in the air, definitely creating a, you know, pretty nice dynamic pose for our Centrosaurus, which is also really nice to see. And all of the detailing as far as the appearance goes is sculpted nicely to show off the movement of the dinosaur in the position that it's currently in. On top of that, again, the kit is really, really easy to build, especially when it comes to this Centrosaurus. There's very little that you have to do to actually put it together. Basically just the legs. Everything else is already ready to go for you. So that's always a great thing. And the seams, you know, they're very easy to hide because the seams right out of the gate aren't very obvious. So that's also a huge plus. Again, this is one that I painted up, so yours can look basically however you would want. You know, you could paint it however you want. This is what mine looks like as far as my paint work goes. Hopefully it turned out okay. I'm pretty happy with it, so hopefully yours will as well. Again, with a sculpt this good, it would be hard not to look good once you add some paintwork to it. So if you are interested in picking this up for yourself, I will include a link in the description to where you can check Remote Times Figures out on Instagram and follow them, of course, on there and reach out to purchase one of these amazing Centrosaurus models. So make sure you check them out. Check those links in the description. Go grab yourself this amazing model, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.